and welcome to Financial Insight. My name is Clarence Chongo, and this morning we are at HLB here in Lusaka at Sartenia House. You may know or not that HLB is one of the premier tax accounting and consulting firms in Zambia, on par with the likes of KPMG and Deloitte and the like. And I have the pleasure this morning of sitting with Mr. Charles Lupiya, who is an assistant manager in tax and payroll at HLB. Welcome to Financial Insight.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
Okay, and HLB have put together what they're calling a Tax Indaba, and Tax Indaba 2025, which is coming up in September, will be the inaugural conference around tax for this country. And this is what we're here to discuss today. Improving tax administration is central to growing Zambia's domestic revenue resource base. In this segment, we reflect on the success, gaps, and possible reforms to enhance efficiency and public trust in the ZRA system. We know that reforming institutions is a continuous journey. How would you evaluate the progress made by ZRA in modernizing its tax administration systems over the last 5 years?
Okay, thank you very much for that insightful question. Actually, I think we can give kudos to ZRA. I think they've made progress, significant progress actually.
Okay.
So like for example, as of 2024, we had the introduction of the Smart Invoicing system. So the Smart Invoicing system, we're talking about a system that captures data in real time, helping with issues to do with big data, you know, and just proper data analytics. And not just that, the Smart Invoicing also helps with VAT compliance mostly. You know, it is a system that is so proactive that it helps in detecting fraud as well, or just suspicious activities. You know, and other than that, I think I can also give our authority kudos when it comes to the tax online and the Ascuda system as well. You know, which helps with capturing information which relates to customs. You know, so border transactions are now properly controlled, and I know that there's still more room to develop, but they have actually done significantly well in that regard.
Excellent. I'm really glad to hear that. Now, taxpayer support and education often determines the compliance outcomes, if you like, because the more people educated and skilled about the compliance system, the more they will respond positively. What more can be done to improve public awareness and education on tax responsibilities, do you think?
Okay. So what more can be done? I think it's just the issue to strengthen the compliance culture, which ZRA is already doing something about it. For example, I believe we just saw a debate program, you know, for I think high schools, if I'm not mistaken, you know, high schools, and I don't know if there have been universities also involved in the same program, but I believe by using such kind of initiatives, it will create a culture of compliancy from early on. You know, because these are the people who are going to be employees or employers later on. Unlike where you force information on people who are already maybe looking at compliance as a burden. But by inculcating that sort of culture, I think the authority will actually reap a lot of benefits. And other than that, there is issues to do with the influencer culture. You know, so if the authority can also identify people with similar values. So in terms of culture-wise, you know, the Zambia Revenue Authority has actually done really well by introducing initiatives in high schools, and possibly, I don't know if it is there or not, but possibly also the universities and colleges, you know, where they are trying to inculcate a culture where people already know, or rather have the basic understanding of what tax is all about. So they are now trying to impart in our public domain, where people think of tax as something that is valuable to the society and not just as an expense. And moreover, I think the authority can also bring in influencers, people who have the same values, values that champion tax itself. So if the authorities can actually talk to those people, bring them on board, I believe that they can now communicate a message which can resonate to a wider demographic, and that would ultimately help us in understanding our responsibilities as taxpayers, and possibly contribute positively to the income of the country.
But do you think ZRA are doing enough training? Shouldn't they be doing more workshops just to train the public into maybe their systems and even compliance? Because when you go to ZRA centers, even just to get help on smart invoicing, the queue is as long as a day.
Yeah, true.
So what do you think about that?
Okay. ZRA, they play a very key role here in Zambia. Those queues are expected. Those queues are expected. It would be a miss for me to say that ZRA is not doing a lot, because I believe that there is always room for more improvement. And if I'm not mistaken, ZRA has a department that has to do with innovation as well, and taxpayer education.
Okay.
So I know for a fact that they are actually there on the ground, and just making sure that people know more about what they do, so that it is easy for you to navigate through their systems, as opposed to always going through to the offices. And also I should add that I think even us as taxpayers, we should be more proactive, because it's not everything that you need to actually go to the ZRA head office. But if we are more proactive in how we actually source information, I think we would help the authority by becoming more efficient in how they deliver the services as well.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, data-driven tax enforcement is something that's obviously gaining traction globally. How effective is ZRA using data and digital tools to enhance tax compliance and to manage risk?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. That question actually, it borders on the now and the future of our Revenue Authority. With the same introduction of the Smart Invoicing and all these other services that ZRA has actually brought about, you will discover that they all hinge on big data. We have a very large pool of taxpayers in Zambia. So I think ZRA is actually fully utilizing its systems at the moment. For instance, I can tell you about the newly changed threshold for income tax. The way it was done, I think it was done in such a systematic way, even though maybe other people may have complained here and there, where it moved the threshold from 800,000 kwacha per annum to 5 million kwacha per annum for you to be on income tax or corporate tax. That was made possible because of the data which ZRA is able to actually get.
But then they increase the percentage.
That percentage, it is something that you can look at as a positive or negative depending on your perceptions, because ultimately what ZRA is trying to do, the ultimate thing is more revenue for the country. That is the ultimate thing, and we are always talking about issues to do with employment in Zambia. Teachers need to be employed, doctors need to be employed, and all those people need to get money at the end of the day. And we have a growing wage bill. So if the authorities are able to utilize such kind of measures, then I believe that issues of unemployment and that big wage bill are going to be alleviated or at least minimized to a reasonable way.
Okay. Now, informality remains one of Zambia's toughest tax challenges. And by informality, obviously, I mean the setup of informal businesses that are not registered anywhere, but generating revenue and so on. What targeted strategies could improve tax collection from informal or hard to reach sectors?
Okay. That one, I think the biggest one, in my opinion, is having some sort of mobile tax clinic or a mobile tax booth. You know, so a mobile tax booth will actually help to move from place to place in as far areas where people may not be reachable by other means. You know, ZRA can actually employ services of these same influencers that I may have mentioned earlier. You know, through the same mobile tax booth. Let's say, for example, if the authorities can go to Nakonde, you know, where there is a lot of trade happening, at Kasumbalesa, or just in town at Soweto Market, you know, just create a booth there and have people who are going to communicate to a wider demographic, not in English, obviously, but in a language that even those guys there on the ground would actually grasp and understand what ZRA is all about. I believe then that is how people are now going to tap in and understand, okay, these are our responsibilities, and by so doing, gradually, I think they would come to terms and understand, okay, we if we pay taxes, this is where our money is going, this is how it's been administered. You know, it makes us more willing, so to say, to actually be more compliant.
Yeah, excellent. I like that. Now, trust is foundational in tax systems. The public needs to have complete faith and trust in the approach by the authorities, okay? Now, what policy or administrative measures can enhance voluntary compliance and build public trust in the tax systems?
Okay. That one, I believe that there is already a department at ZRA,
okay,
which deals with taxpayer education. You know, I think in as much as it is already there, they can do more with taxpayer education. You know, because everything still goes back to the issue of legislation. You know, before you even come with the system. So if taxpayers would probably even understand their rights, you know, if they have been given that voice, it will be easy for them to have a conversation with, let's say, ZRA officer, because they know that their rights are protected, you know, or maybe they are not just being seen as a nuisance, you know. And if those matters are being attended to timely, you know, and efficiently as well, then I think those are some of the elements that will build trust and transparency in the system as well. Yeah, because at the end of the day, I want to go to ZRA because I know that the authorities are there for me, you know. But how do I even go to ZRA if I don't even know what they do, you know, except I just know that I have to pay tax.
Yeah.
I don't even know the tax that I'm supposed to pay for. Yeah. You know, and you find that most entrepreneurs don't even know their tax profile. You know, a person just opens up a business at Park, a business name, you know, Pakra, and thereafter they just start trading. They have no idea, you know. But if we can actually go on the ground and just try to emphasize, okay, turnover tax, this is what it means. You know, presumptive taxes, this is what it means. You know, corporate income tax, you know, those are things that I believe would actually build trust in the system itself. You know, it's just about having information.
Excellent. And on that positive and educational note,
yeah,
I would like to thank you, Mr. Lupiya, for having this chat with us at Financial Insight.
Thank you very much, Sai. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, and there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Tax Indaba 2025 is loading. My name is Clarence Chongo for Financial Insight. Get to know.